This video, I'm going to be walking you through a low risk live event funnel that has generated over $700,000 in revenue for our clients over the last 8 months. And what I love about this live event funnel is that it is low risk. One of the biggest objections that we get when we talk to founders that run online education companies, online communities, coaching businesses, info businesses, is that they want to start hosting live events, but it's a little too risky. They don't want to gamble on it. They don't really want to, push all their chips into the center of the table and hope that it works out. And I totally get it. Doing the high risk model, which I'll walk you through in a second. I'll walk you through both models, actually, both funnels. It's scary and it's tense, and it can make the atmosphere of your company feel very stressed and on edge for a while as you were going through that process. Yes, the upside can be amazing, but the upside for this low risk funnel is just as good. As you can see, we've generated over $700,000 in revenue for our clients over the last 8 months. So this event funnel that I'm gonna walk you through is a great way to start hosting in-person events inside of your ecosystem in a low risk way that does not sacrifice the upside of the events. But before we dive into any of that, I just want to give you a little context as to who I am. My name is Andy Monroe, co-founder of Bullish Events. And at Bullish Events, we help online education business owners. What I mean by online education is educational creators, high-ticket coaches, community owners, info business owners. You get the point. We help founders that run those types of businesses integrate profitable live events into their ecosystem. We've generated over $10.7 million in revenue for our clients with in-person events. We've had over 6,500 attendees come through our experiences, and we've maintained an average attendee satisfaction score of 4.75 out of 5. Now, if you come over to bullishevents.com, you can check out these videos from our partners, as well as some case studies from events that we have wrapped up recently. But jumping back over into the video, I want to walk you guys through both the high risk and the low risk event funnels that we've used, and both work. But obviously, the risky one is it's risky. It's not for the faint of heart. But what you'll see is the low risk event funnel actually doesn't really sacrifice anything. It's the model we recommend almost anyone gets started with, rather than this high risk event funnel. But we've used this one a lot. I don't want to say this funnel doesn't work. It actually works incredibly well if done right. Back at Fund Launch, when I was a partner, we would host an annual acquisition event or a high risk event, and we would bet a lot of money on it. We would dump a lot of resources into it. We would spend most of our year planning it and designing it, making sure that it was perfect, and it did yield amazing returns. We generated multiple seven figures from each one of these events, but it was very stressful. We wouldn't have been able to do it if we didn't build up the audience that we had prior to hosting these events. That's one thing that's important to point out, is a lot of people come and talk to us. They want to start doing this high risk event model before they build an audience, before they've had any success, before they have actually started to build a movement. And yes, that can be done, but that just makes it even more risky. I could make a whole other video about this event funnel, which I made one a few years ago, so I should probably make an updated one. But all that to say, we've used this funnel a lot. It's worked well for us. It's risky, and it has to be done right for it to be pulled off properly. But the funnel is an acquisition event funnel. So you can see right here, the way that you fill this event is through ads, through content, through VSL, virtual event. It can even be some of your pre-existing clients. But the point of this acquisition event is to get buyer units into the room. You sell a ticket to them, they buy a ticket, they go to the event, and then you pitch them typically a high ticket offer. If you're not selling a high ticket offer at one of these events, that'd be incredibly, it's like it keeps piling on the risk. Typically selling a high ticket offer from stage, and then people that buy go into your high ticket offer, whether it's a service done with you, do it yourself, whatever your offer is. And it can be a very successful event funnel. It's worked really well for us. Like I said, a lot of other people have used this event funnel. Russell Brunson has put his funnel hacking live event. Tony Robbins has done a ton of these acquisition events. There's a lot of people online that teach you how to do these acquisition events as well. And they are effective, but they are risky. And it's not really an event funnel that we recommend unless somebody is a really seasoned professional and has built up a really solid following in their ecosystem before they want to start doing, before they even start doing any of these events. So that is the high risk event funnel. Now I want to show you the low risk event funnel. So starting from the bottom, you got the ads, you got content, you got VSL, you got virtual event. Essentially, this is just traffic flowing into your ecosystem. And instead of going directly to a acquisition event where you sell tickets to people, they get in the room, you pitch them a high ticket offer, they could just go straight to your high ticket offer. And Obviously, depending on your business, how you prefer to advertise, your ICP, your industry, ads can work really well. Content can work really well. VSL funnels to booking a call or to an application can work well. We would typically recommend virtual events. We think virtual events are amazing for selling high ticket offers, but you are essentially filling your high ticket offer with clients and customers, and then on as a part of your high ticket offer, that's where you host these fulfillment events. And fulfillment events exist on the back end. They are designed for fulfillment. And depending on how much you charge for your offer, you can do 1 to 3 of these per year. The rule of thumb is usually every $10,000 increment, you can add on a fulfillment event. So if you have a $10,000 offer, or 10,000 or a little bit below, a little bit more, you can do one per year. If it's 20K, you can do two. If it's 30K, you can do three. At Fund Launch, we had a $30,000 offer, so we did 3 fulfillment events per year. And the difference between a fulfillment event and an acquisition event, as you can see, is a fulfillment event is attached onto the high ticket offer. It's something that people get when they buy the offer, and it's designed for fulfillment. While an acquisition event is a standalone experience where you're trying to sell people into the offer. So a fulfillment event is already attached onto the offer. And typically what you see from acquisition events, at least this is what we would do, is we would use these fulfillment events as a key selling point for this high ticket offer. So when we were presenting the offer to the audience, we would go through the painting the picture of the outcome, the transformation they're going to experience, and then we would really write home that you get access to 3 in-person fulfillment events per year. It really beefs up the value of a high ticket offer. But this low risk funnel puts the emphasis on the fulfillment event instead of the acquisition event. So for this one, the emphasis is on the acquisition event, and then the fulfillment event is just kind of treated as like an add-on to the offer, which it still is here. And the reason why these fulfillment events are so low risk is because you just host them for your clients. You host them for the people that are inside of your high ticket offer. So you don't need to have this massive following to sell tickets to get people into the room. You can just have 10, 20, 30 clients that have already gone through your system and your process, and you can just gather them in person for an event. You do have to have a pre-existing business that's getting results for people for this to work. You can't start hosting fulfillment events without ever signing a client, or if you have 1 or 2 clients, I'd recommend at least getting to 10 to 20 in that range before you start doing fulfillment events. But all you have to do to start hosting fulfillment events is just gather your pre-existing clients. So it's super easy, super low risk. They're usually smaller and more intimate, so you're not investing as much money into the experience itself. And they're also really beneficial for the business in terms of increasing revenue. One of the biggest misconceptions about fulfillment events is that you can't sell an offer at these events, but we actually broke that rule with our partner Tom over here. This is like just some examples that I wanted to show you guys to back up the revenue claim I made at the beginning of the video. With Tom, we've done 2 fulfillment events with him so far. We've generated $500,000 in new revenue for his business. He's gotten 10 high ticket referrals to his program from people that have attended this event. So the way that looks is people will come and attend his fulfillment events, and then they'll go and tell their friends about it because they had such a good experience. We've had a 97 to 99 net promoter score. I think the first event was 97. The last one was 99. It actually might have been 100, but 100 might be a little too sus. So we'll just say 99 because that's pretty damn near perfect. And 100% of attendees from both of those events said they would return. And the reason we were able to generate so much revenue for Tom from these fulfillment events is we did have an offer in place that we invited people to. And that is something that you can do at fulfillment events. And we even did it down here at Fund Launch as well. We kind of built this fulfillment event model at Fund Launch, and it was a very key player in our growth from $0 to $30 million in revenue. And we would sometimes at these events do an offer into our high ticket mastermind. So to give you a lay of the landscape, we would have our low ticket offers or anything sub $5,000. And then we would have our high ticket offer, the Black Card program, which is $30,000. And then for a while there, we were running this mastermind that was $75,000. And at these fulfillment events, we would invite people to join the mastermind. Very soft, no high pressure sales, no table rush, none of that stuff that you would see at an acquisition event. We would invite people to come and attend the mastermind or be a part of the mastermind. It actually converted really well because if you think about it, everybody that's in the room at these fulfillment events are your best performing clients. They're the ones getting results, they're the ones engaging in the community. And once they attend the events and go through the program they're currently in, they're going to be ready for that next step. So if you frame it properly and say, hey, this thing is waiting for you here, ready for when you are, when it's time for you to take that next step, the upsell at a fulfillment event is actually really natural. And like I mentioned with Tom's events, they're actually really good for referrals as well. They just enhance the experience that your clients have inside of your ecosystem. And when people do that, when people have a really good experience with you, they're going to go tell their friends about it, and you're going to see an increase in your referrals as well as lifetime value. That's something we've seen with the Home Service Academy right here. At their event, we did generate $105,000 in direct revenue from renewals, upsells, and sponsorship revenue, while also maintaining a attendee satisfaction score of 4.97 out of 5. But one thing that we're seeing from them, we actually had a conversation with the two founders a few weeks ago, and they've seen a huge increase in the lifetime value of their clients by hosting these events. And that's one of the best parts about hosting fulfillment events is it does increase the lifetime value because it creates a community. You know, people gather in person, they make friends, they meet each other. They typically get really good results from that event, and the momentum in their business as well as your business is peaked, it's spiked after a fulfillment. And when people are getting good results in a community and they like the people and they've met people and they've made real friends, they're going to want to stay inside of that community, and they're going to want to buy more of your products, which will increase the lifetime value. So as you can see, there's still a lot of business cases for fulfillment events. That's one of the biggest misconceptions in the industry, is that acquisition events are the only way to make money with live events for an online education business or an info business or coaching business. But we've pretty much only been doing fulfillment events this year. And like I said at the beginning of the video, we've been able to generate over $700,000 in revenue from this event model. And it's low risk because you're already gathering people that have paid you. You're gathering people that are pre-existing clients. You don't have to go sell tickets. You just tell people when the event is and tell them that it's like a mandatory part of the program they're going through. Or if you don't want to make it mandatory, you can at least say that it'll help them accelerate the results they get, which it does. You know, that's another going back to Tom's events. You know, he runs a 16-week high ticket program, but what we see with his fulfillment events is that we can usually do a lot of the work that people have to do over those 16 weeks. We can get it done in a few days at an in-person fulfillment event. So it really does accelerate the results people get inside of your offers and your services. And then once they get that result, they're going to be ready for the upsell. So that's why fulfillment events are so powerful. And again, I just can't express enough how, I don't want to say easy, because you do still have to have a business that gets really good results. So that's not easy to build, but they are much lower risk, a lot smoother, a lot more well-positioned inside of your ecosystem than an acquisition events. Acquisition events are kind of brute force. You got to fill the room. You got to sell tickets. You have to, refine your sales pitch. You have to do your choreographed sales pitch. You try to get a table rush. You got to, close people on site. There's a lot that goes into it, but fulfillment events are just primarily just giving a ton of value to your people, doing a lot of hands-on implementation, doing a lot of hands-on fulfillment. And then at some point during the event, if you want to, you can just invite people to take the next step, and it usually converts really well. So that is the low risk event funnel that's crushing it for us right now. Like I said, we've generated over $700,000 in revenue for our clients over the last 8 months. The last example I wanted to show you, I showed you guys Tom, I showed you HSA. At Fund Launch, we did these for a long time. We also did a very, very similar event model with Late Checkout. This is Greg Eisenberg, Jordan Mix. They run a company called Late Checkout, and we did an event for them. They didn't want us to share the exact revenue. They're not big rev sharers, as they say, but we generated 6 figures in revenue. It was a sold out event, 9.04 out of 10 attendee satisfaction score. And the difference of this event from a traditional fulfillment event is that the event was the offer. So instead of attaching the event onto a high ticket offer, the high ticket offer was the event. So still a fulfillment event, still did really well. People had a great time. It was an awesome experience. We did it in an Airbnb actually in Miami. So it was beautiful, had a great time. But these three are the three partners we've been working with over the last 8 months to integrate fulfillment events into their ecosystem. And that's where that revenue number has come from. And then Fund Launch, we did fulfillment events for, 4+ years. We did a lot of them. And this is kind of where we built this model. Now we're installing it into other online education businesses. So that is the fulfillment event funnel. If you are running an online education company, a coaching company, an info business, and you want to start hosting live in-person events inside of your ecosystem, I would strongly recommend starting with fulfillment events and then get a couple of those under your belt. And then once you're ready, you can transition over into acquisition events. But what we're seeing is fulfillment events, they're just doing well enough. They're producing enough revenue. They're getting really good results for our clients that there isn't really a need for an acquisition event anymore. So if you are in the educational creator, online education business industry, I would strongly recommend hosting fulfillment events, integrating fulfillment events into your ecosystem. I promise you, you will not regret it. All right. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.